Let me tell you about the day I found the letter that changed everything. But first, you need to understand the soil of this story, the roots. My family's vineyard, Château du Sang, isn't just land. It's a living thing, a tangle of secrets and sweat and generations of women who fought to keep it. My mother used to say our blood was mixed with the sap of the vines. She'd take me into the fields at dawn, her hands rough from pruning, and whisper, "The earth remembers, Lila, even when people forget." Then she died, her heart giving out like a candle snuffed by the wind. My father followed 6 months later, drowning his grief in cognac until his liver failed. He left me with nothing but dusty ledgers, a cellar full of ghosts, and a stepmother who smelled like rosewater and poison. Celeste arrived in a black town car, her smile as polished as the pearls around her neck. "We'll heal together, Lila," she said, pressing a cold hand to my cheek. But within weeks, she'd boxed up my mother's photographs, replaced the old iron gate with something modern, and hung her own portrait in the foyer, right where my great-grandmother's had been. "History is a ghost," she told me, her voice sweet as spoiled wine. "Best to let it haunt someone else." But I'm a historian. Ghosts are my specialty. The cellar was always my sanctuary. Cool, dark, smelling of oak and earth. I'd hide there for hours, cataloguing old harvest records for Celeste, part of her charitable vision to turn the estate into a museum. Her museum. One afternoon, while shifting crates of empty bottles, I found a journal tucked behind a rotted beam. Its leather was cracked, its pages brittle as autumn leaves. And inside a letter, "Beware the woman who wears two faces. She will sweeten her tongue with lies and salt the earth with your tears. Protect the key. It unlocks more than doors." The wax seal bore our family crest, a grapevine coiled around a dagger. When I pried it open, a rusted key clattered to the floor. Celeste appeared like a shadow. "Trash," she said, snatching the letter. But her eyes lingered on the key. "Superstitious nonsense from drunkards. Burn it." I didn't burn it. I tucked the key into my boot and waited. 3 weeks later, under a moon swollen and yellow as a bruise, I crept to the Vineyard's chapel. The lockbox was hidden beneath floorboards warped by time, its hinges screeching like a wounded animal. Inside lay a land deed dated 1832, signed by Élodie Moreau, my great-great-great-grandmother. The vineyard was hers, bought not with a husband's name or a father's money, but with her own gold francs. Celeste laughed when I confronted her. "Élodie?" She sipped her sherry, her voice syrup-sweet. "That drunkard sold the land to pay her debts. Everyone knows Henry Duval owned this place." But I hired Alessandro Rossi, a genealogist with a reputation for unraveling lies. He traced Celeste's lineage back to Henry Duval, Élodie's husband, a con artist who married her for the vineyard. "Drowned in the river 2 months after their wedding," Alessandro said, sliding a grainy photograph of Henri's autopsy report across my desk. No water in his lungs. The man was dead before he hit the water. Turns out Celeste's family had been stealing from mine for centuries. Alessandro became my shadow, digging through archives and bribing clerks for birth certificates. One night he found a ledger in Marseille's municipal archives, Henri's own handwriting, detailing plans to dispose of the wife and claim the vines. But the plot thickened. Henri had a sister, Marguerite, who disappeared after his death. Alessandro traced her to a convent where she'd scribbled a confession in a prayer book. "Henri's sins are mine." I helped him silence Élodie. Celeste's bloodline was a nest of thieves. Armed with proof, I planted a voice-activated pen in her study. What I heard curdled my blood. "The past is dead, the vineyard is mine, burn the rest." The courtroom was all polished wood and hollow echoes. Celeste's lawyer painted me as a deluded orphan, clutching at fairy tales. But when I played the recording, the air turned thick. Celeste's pearls clattered as she stood, her mask slipping. "She's twisted it," she shrieked. "That's not me." The judge awarded me the land, but forced me to share profits with Celeste. "Family is family," he said, as if that excused theft. Celeste smirked at me across the aisle. You'll never be rid of me. But she'd forgotten one thing. Alessandro had also found her offshore accounts, her phantom expenses, the way she'd funneled Vineyard funds to pay for her Parisian penthouse. The tax office descended before she could uncork her champagne. I renamed the Vineyard Deux Visages, Two Faces. The rusted key hangs above the door now, a reminder that some legacies can't be buried. The women who work here, single mothers, runaways, survivors, tend the vines and press the grapes, their laughter echoing in the cellar where I once hid. There's Rosa, a former nurse who fled her husband's fists. She talks to the vines like they're old friends, her son toddling between the rows. Then Amara, who arrived with nothing but a backpack and a talent for blending wines that taste like courage. And Fatima, whose hands, scarred from factory work, now prune the gnarled branches with surgical precision. Last week, Amara found another letter wedged between the cellar stones. To the keeper of the key, it began, "The truth, like wine, grows richer with time. Look to the oldest oak, we're digging tomorrow." Celeste writes me often. Her stationery is still perfumed, her cursive looping like vipers. You think you've won, but the vines will choke you. They always do. I don't read them. I use them to light the hearth in winter. The past isn't a ghost, it's a seed. And I've learned how to make things grow. We found it today, a rusted box beneath the oak's gnarled roots. Inside, a stack of letters from Élodie to her sister, hidden after Henri's death. "I carry his child," she wrote. "A daughter. She will know the truth." Élodie's daughter survived. Her name was Claire. Claire Moreau, my great-great-grandmother. The vines have been ours all along. Celeste's letters stopped last month. The papers say she's been indicted for tax fraud. Alessandro sent a photo of her leaving court, her pearls replaced by handcuffs. On the back, he scribbled, "The past isn't done with her yet. I'm saving a bottle of our first harvest for the day she's sentenced. It's a Cabernet Sauvignon, bitter, full-bodied, perfect."
All right, get ready to uncork some family secrets because today we're taking a deep dive into Vineyard.
Ooh, sounds intriguing.
It really is. Stolen legacies, hidden truths, the whole thing unfolds at a historic French vineyard.
Okay, I'm already hooked.
Yes.
Vineyards always have that, old world charm,
Yeah.
Makes you think of generations tending the vines.
Exactly. And in Vineyard, that connection to the land, it runs deep, especially for the women of this family. I mean, the protagonist's mother even believed their blood mingled with the vine sap.
Wow, that's some serious dedication. But then what? What happens to disrupt this idyllic picture?
Tragedy strikes. Parents gone, leaving our protagonist to grapple with not just the vineyard, but a stepmother, Celeste.
Ah, the stepmother. Classic literature trope.
Yeah.
So is she like the wicked, jealous type or something else?
She's definitely got her own agenda. Think modernizing, pushing aside the past, even replacing those old family photos.
Interesting. So we have this clash between preserving history and embracing the new. I mean, that's something a lot of people can relate to, right? Like those debates about tearing down old buildings versus modernization.
Absolutely. And our protagonist, Lila, is a historian, so naturally she's drawn to the past. And luckily for her, there's a hidden cellar just begging to be explored.
Okay, you had me at hidden cellar. What'd she find down there? Skeletons. Secret wine recipe.
Even better. A journal, cryptic letters, and a rusty key. Talk about a classic mystery setup.
Ooh, I love it. The rusty key is symbolic, right? Like unlocking more than just a door, like unlocking the truth.
It definitely unlocks some major revelations. Lila uses her historian skills and discovers a land deed proving the vineyard belonged to her ancestor, Élodie Moreau.
Hold on, so it wasn't originally their family's vineyard. Someone stole it. Now that's a twist.
And guess what? Celeste is a descendant of the guy who apparently orchestrated the whole thing. Generations of this family benefiting from a stolen legacy.
It reminds me of those stories you hear about, stolen land finally being returned to indigenous communities. It makes you think about the lasting impact of those actions.
It really does. And it gets even darker. Suspicious death, silencing of witnesses. It's like a whole web of deceit going way back.
That's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how often things like this happen, especially to women. Their voices silenced, their contributions erased. It's unsettling.
Yeah, definitely gives you chills. But Lila, she's not letting it slide. She confronts Celeste, uses a voice-activated pen to capture a confession.
Whoa, sneaky, but smart. I guess sometimes you need that concrete proof to break through, generations of lies. It makes you wonder how many injustices are just swept under the rug because there's no evidence.
So does she take Celeste to court with this recording? I mean, that's pretty damning evidence right there.
Oh, she does. But the court case, it's not a clean win. Lila gets ownership back, but she's forced to share profits with Celeste.
Ugh, that's frustrating. Like, justice served, but not really. Talk about bittersweet.
It's kind of like Leave Life. Sometimes things aren't black and white. And even when the truth comes out, the damage is done. You can't always fully undo it.
True. But Lila, she finds her own way to reclaim the vineyard, renaming it Du Visage.
Du visage, that means two faces, right?
Yeah.
Clever. Acknowledging the duality, the hidden truths, like those two-faced people we encountered in the story.
Exactly. And she builds a community of women there, Rosa, Amara, Fatima. Their stories are woven into the whole fabric of the vineyard.
I like that. It becomes more than just a business. It's like a place of healing, of shared experience. Kind of makes you wonder how often we find strength through those connections, especially when tied to a place or a common purpose.
Definitely. And just when you think we've unearthed all the secrets, remember that rusty key from earlier? Well, it's about to unlock even more than we bargained for.
Wait, are you leaving us on a cliffhanger? Don't tell me we have to wait for part 2 to find out what's behind door number 2.
That rusty key, it's like a symbol, unlocking secrets, revealing truths.
It makes you think about those everyday objects we take for granted. Like, what stories do they hold? What might they unlock if we knew how to look?
And for Lila, that key leads her to a rusted box filled with her ancestor, Élodie's letters.
Ooh, juicy. What kind of secrets are we talking about? Family drama? Love affairs?
It's a bombshell revelation. Élodie had a daughter, Claire, who survived. The true lineage of the vineyard hidden all along.
Wow, that changes everything. Makes you wonder, how much do we really know about our own family histories? Are there stories we haven't been told? Pieces missing from the puzzle?
Right, and it makes you want to dig into your own family archives, see what you can find. But back to Vineyard, it's not just about the mystery, it's about those bigger themes, Justice, resilience, the power of the past.
Totally. And the way the author uses the vineyard itself to represent those themes, it's like this living testament to generations past. Kind of makes you think about our connection to place, how it shapes who we are.
It's almost like the vineyard becomes a character watching over everything, holding those secrets.
Right. And the parallels to real-life situations, land theft, stolen artifacts, those fights for recognition and justice. It's like history echoing in the present.
And for Lila, it's not just about the land, it's about reclaiming a part of herself, that sense of belonging that was stolen. Her determination is inspiring.
Definitely. It's like giving a voice to those who were silenced. It makes you think, what untold stories are out there in our own communities? And how can understanding those stories help us build a better future?
Thinking about Lila turning pain and betrayal into something positive, it's a testament to resilience, She could have walked away, but she chose to stay and fight.
It shows that we have choices, even when faced with difficult situations. We can let them define us, or we can choose to shape them into something different.
And she creates this community at Du Visage. Rosa, Amara, Fatima, they all find strength and healing through the vineyard.
That's the beauty of community, right? Especially when it's tied to a place or a shared purpose. Like finding belonging and support in unexpected places.
You know that image of the oldest oak tree hiding Élodie's letters all those years? It's like the land itself was holding on to those secrets.
Yeah, it's like a reminder that sometimes the truth takes time to come out. And that nature has a way of preserving things, holding on to those memories.
It's almost like the vineyard is a silent character, offering solace, revealing truths, a symbol of healing.
That symbolism resonates, doesn't it? Nature is a source of healing, a place where pain can be transformed into something beautiful. It's a reminder that even in the midst of hardship, there's potential for growth and renewal.
And the way Lila embraces the duality of her family's history, naming the vineyard Du Visage, accepting both the good and the bad, it's powerful.
It's about reclaiming the narrative, defining yourself on your own terms. And it's a reminder that we all have that power to choose how we integrate the past into our present and future.
And that choice, that act of creating a positive legacy, that's what makes Vineyard such a hopeful story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that we can choose a different path, build something new, even when faced with difficult inheritances. It's about creating a future that reflects our own values and aspirations.
It's a powerful message to carry with us as we navigate our own lives and strive to make the world a better place. But you know what's interesting? Just when we think Lila's found peace, the story throws us another curveball.
Oh no, what now? Don't tell me there's another family secret lurking in the shadows.
Well, remember Celeste, the not-so-wicked stepmother? Her story takes an unexpected turn. We get these glimpses into her life through letters she's writing, and then, bam, they abruptly stop.
Okay, that's suspicious. What happened? Did she run off with a handsome vineyard worker? Join a cult?
Not quite. The author reveals that Celeste has been indicted for tax fraud. It seems the past has caught up with her in a way no one saw coming.
Whoa, talk about karma. So, even though she got away with stealing from Lila's family, justice still prevails in a different way. That's a twist I didn't see coming.
Right. It's like this reminder that actions have consequences, even if it takes time for them to surface. And there's this chilling note from Alessandro, the genealogist, on a photo of Celeste in handcuffs. He writes, "The past isn't done with her yet."
Ooh, that gives me goosebumps. It leaves you wondering, what else is she hiding? What other secrets might come to light?
Exactly. It's that lingering sense of anticipation, the knowledge that even when we think we've uncovered all the answers, there might be more to the story.
It's like life, isn't it? We never truly know what's around the corner. And sometimes, the past has a way of surprising us. But that's what keeps things interesting, right?
You know, what strikes me about Vineyard is that it's not just about uncovering the past, it's about what you do with it. Like Lila, she could have just sold the vineyard, moved on, but instead she turns it into something positive.
Yeah, she doesn't shy away from the tough stuff. She takes that inheritance and reshapes it, makes it her own. It makes you think, what things do we inherit, that we can maybe do the same with?
Right. And it's not just about her. She builds this whole community at Du Visage. Rosa, escaping that abusive marriage, Amara with just a backpack and a dream, and Fatima finding that healing connection to the land.
It's more than just a job. It's a refuge, a place to belong. Reminds me of how, throughout history, marginalized groups have created these spaces, built on shared values, finding strength in numbers.
Makes you think about those places where we feel like we belong, right? Where we can contribute, be ourselves. And for them, it's the vineyard.
And each of their stories adds to the bigger picture. It's not just about Lila's journey. It's about all of them finding strength together. The power of shared experience.
And that final image, Lila saving a bottle of wine from their first harvest for Celeste's sentencing. Bitter and full-bodied, she calls it. Kind of sums up the whole thing, don't you think?
Oh, perfect metaphor. You've got that bitterness of betrayal, but also like the richness of justice being served.
Yeah.
And maybe a hint of hope for what's to come.
A toast to the past, acknowledging the struggles, but also celebrating how far they've come. But then there's that note from Alessandro, the past isn't done with her yet, talking about Celeste. Chilling, right?
It leaves you hanging like, is that really the end for Celeste? Are there more consequences coming?
Exactly. It's that reminder that the past always has a way of catching up, doesn't it? So as we wrap up our deep dive into Vineyard, I'm curious what family stories, what hidden histories are waiting to be unearthed in your own life. Would you have the courage to face those truths, to maybe even reshape your own narrative?
It's a powerful thought, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
The past, it's not just something that happened. It shapes who we are, influences the choices we make. And maybe by understanding those stories, we can build a better future.